And we are live here tonight in Mem Tips and Tricks. I have Jan on the program. Welcome, Jan.
Hello, how are you tonight?
Great to have you on board, Jan.
Yeah,
So I've been looking forward to have you in the studio, and as you don't know, I have been sitting on the rows in user group Denmark and looked at you presenting stuff as MVP for quite some years, and I thought I want to talk to Jan someday, and now we're here finally.
you mean you never actually talked to me when I was in Denmark?
Nope,
Uh,
haven't had time. I mean, so many wants to talk to you, Jan. So you're yeah, that's
yeah,
how it
well,
is.
it's that's the one thing I miss the most though. Over the last couple of years, actually being out and meeting people face to face and can shake their hand and say hello.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's been it's been a rough couple of years for sure.
It has definitely, and let's hope that COVID is over soon. Actually, I am positive with COVID right now. I
Okay.
was tested Tuesday, and yeah, it's for me it's like the flu. I have a vaccine and stuff, so it's okay. It's
Yeah, well,
mostly
for me, I was a bit worried because I tested positive 2 days before the Nordic Virtual Summit,
oh,
which I was hosting.
that's not good. That's not good. But
Yeah, so
you came through.
yeah, actually, the day before I was totally out. Had a high
Okay.
fever, just laying down the whole day. That was the day before we were going live. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Luckily, I had a good team with me, so we made sure everybody else was doing all the producing slots and everything like that. So I really didn't have to do anything but my session during those 2 days.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it went okay.
Yeah. The Nordic Summit, it's really cool. So
You know, we're
well
doing
done.
it again.
I just saw you released call for speakers. Yes.
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 So that is quite cool actually, because we were not supposed to do anything in this time area around now. And the reason for that is we were supposed to go to NIC conference in Oslo in February, and we didn't want to have anything right upon a huge in-person conference. But then they had to postpone, and then it opened up for us to do another run in March.
Okay.
So that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's such a good event. So well done. I look forward for that. So Jan, I want the viewers here to actually know a little bit more of you. I know you quite a bit, but tell me about you and age and where do you live? Norway, maybe.
Yeah, I live in Norway,
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, I'm old.
You're old.
Yeah,
You don't look
I
old.
don't feel old, but the people are telling me I'm old. You see, my beard is getting gray. So yeah, I'm 46.
Okay.
So I'm not the youngest person in anymore, but I feel young, which is the
It
most important.
it's called experience.
Yes,
Yes.
it's called. I don't remember the word now. There is another word. It's like when you have the gray beard, and it's like you're more like decadent.
I like
No,
that.
so yeah, I live in Norway, right outside Oslo.
Mhm.
I work in a company called CloudWay.
Mhm.
We are, as of today, a company with 9 MVPs. And if I remember the numbers correctly, we are 7 MCTs.
All right.
And yeah, we are in working in the Microsoft 365 area.
Yeah.
So it's everything from productivity, collaboration, the new stuff the other team is working with is Viva. Viva is a big thing for them. Um, they do a lot of stuff around adoption, and of course, with me and my other MEM guys, we are working with Intune and Intune and identity and security. Actually, I talked to Yeah, you know Maurice, right? And I
Yeah.
talked to Maurice the other day, and it's like, I don't think I have logged on to a config manager server in like 9 months now. And there is a change, and it's
Hmm.
happening. And but again, as we know, when we do that shift, people are going to have to do stuff in other ways. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but in addition to that, I in the wintertime I like to ski
Oh,
downhill only.
yeah.
I don't
You
walk with sticks and be exhausted and stuff. I like to just take the lift up and drive down. That's fun.
but it's hard for the legs, right? I mean,
It depends on the speed.
okay, okay.
If you go slowly, you don't get tired. But if you are like me and like it to go fast, it's actually the thighs that's worst
Hmm.
because the legs are supported by the big shoe. But you need the thighs is really what needs to hold you up and
Yeah.
make the turns.
Yeah.
Um, so that's my primary activity outside my office in the winter when I have the time to get away is to go skiing.
Hmm. So when you go skiing, is that Hafjell or is it Trysil or where do you go?
Trysil normally.
Oh, okay,
It's
that's 2
more
hours.
family friendly.
Hmm.
They have more hills that is fitting for my 7-year-old.
Yeah.
Uh, so I really like it. Of course, it's super expensive. If I go a little bit further to Sweden, to Sälen,
Hmm.
it's cheaper, but it's the hills are not that good.
No.
Trysil is
So
so much better.
so don't go to Sweden. They also have very high pressure on the COVID situation. You need to have a negative test to go into Sweden, actually. So
Yeah.
yeah. So don't
So
go to
now,
Sälen.
yeah,
Go to
that's true.
Trysil. Yes.
Which is a pain for Norwegians because we normally go to Sweden for cheap beer and cheap tobacco and stuff like that.
And the
Like,
Swedes go to Denmark to buy that
yes,
stuff.
and you go to Germany. So
Yeah, that's funny.
Germany goes to Poland.
Yes. Oh,
So
that's
it's
great.
that's how it is.
That's how it
So
is.
yeah, I have 3 kids though,
Wow.
and the oldest one is 23 this year.
So don't live at home.
No,
No.
he actually goes to the same school I went to right now.
Not cool.
So
University or
he's taking the exact same computer engineering education I did, but it's
ah
not the same though.
no. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, they have we didn't even have Java,
No.
right? It was all C++,
Yeah.
and they do Java, they do Go and Golang and all this Python. We didn't do any of that.
Oh.
So they have it's changed in many ways, and it's more project focus, which I think is good.
Mm.
It's more working in groups and projects and learn to work together in a team, which is really good. And of course, they have the boring stuff like mathematics and physics and
The fundamental stuff, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
the boring stuff.
The boring stuff. But the needed stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's good to have some in the backpack.
Of course. Yeah. And the two other kids?
Yeah, the other one is 21 and he's not living at home either. He's working, and it's all boys.
And you had one at 7 years old?
Yes, yes.
Wow, that's a big gap. Was that a surprise or?
No, it's like this is what happens when you marry, divorce, and remarry.
Ah, that kind of, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I myself, I have 3 kids. I have a 8-year-old, 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old,
Yeah,
but with the same though.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is preferable most times, but
It makes
life
it more easy.
happens.
Yeah. Uh, you've done like a load balancing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So, Jan, when did you actually become MVP the first year?
2016.
Hmm? So that's wow, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I was MVP right in the time when they changed all this renewal stuff.
All right.
So I got my first award in October 2016, and then I was supposed to get renewed in the summer 2017, but that then they changed everything to all renew everybody in the summer.
Hmm.
And because I didn't have a full year, they just extended me a whole year.
That's nice.
So I got a lot of time on my first thing, but I only got one award in almost 2 years.
Oh,
So that's why, for instance, Nikolai, he got the award 2 months before me, and he got the Bluestone 1 year before me.
oh.
Yeah. So I like to say to him, it's like, yeah, I have one more. I got the Bluestone earlier, yeah, but if you look at the number of stones, we have the exact same amount.
Yeah. It's cheating. It's cheating.
Yeah, well, no, he was actually because he was just above 9 months. He was 10 months or 11 months or something, and then then they got to renew for real the first summer.
Mm.
It's the same now, right? If you get the award now in October, you get the full cycle of 9 plus 12,
Yeah.
or is it November? Maybe October. I don't know. Anyway, you get some get longer. Most almost none get shorter than a
Okay.
year.
I haven't tried it yet, so I'm still on my first year here. So
Yeah, you
just
got yours in.
in June. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you up for renewal this summer then?
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah,
I've done a lot of blog posts at least and videos and stuff. So I really hope I earned it, but
yeah. Then it's
nobody
just
knows.
remember to meet the deadline to get everything in.
Yeah, I'll try to every month to take all the content I do and put it in there. And luckily, all the product group interventions they go in automatically, so you don't have to sit and do all that stuff.
Yeah, I used to do that too. Be good
Mm.
at that. But then you started slacking, and then I think I have like 10 months of backlog now. That's not logged. So I'm going to have to start looking into that. That's like a week's work then just to get it in.
Ah, man. I mean, just the nomination when you go and put all the stuff in there, it's a huge work actually.
Yeah,
So I could imagine for like 10 months of backlog there.
yeah, but it's actually the last 10 months I haven't done that many things,
Okay.
but I did a few big things.
Mm.
So it's gonna be not gonna be that much
Nope.
entries.
But I
Um,
would say Nordic Virtual Summit, that would count for at least 100 blog posts.
yeah, and basically, and last summer we were all like auto renewed because of COVID. So if you don't think about that, it's going to be 3 Nordic Virtual Summits since my last
Mm.
renewal.
Yeah. So that's going to count.
I hope
Plus
so.
interests. Plus interests.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Very cool, Jan. So today we have Intune, and Intune is like, is it 11 or 12 years old now? And we have been.
Let me think. Intune. Do you know I used to work in Microsoft when they launched Intune?
No, did you?
I did.
Oh,
And I was actually part of what they used to call incubation team.
okay.
So I was kind of I was a Windows technical sales person, and then Intune came, and then I got that on my plate too.
Yeah.
And I kind of got a quota on the first release of Intune. Do you know what the first release of Intune actually was?
No, but it was built on Silverlight, so it says it all.
I'm not sure it even had really had Silverlight back then. But
Is
the
it
thing
so
is,
old?
you had an agent,
Yeah.
and with that agent, you could do one thing: manage updates, Windows updates. That's it.
You have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. I can honestly say I've worked with Intune from the beginning,
You can definitely. Yeah.
and it's come a long way, for
It's come
sure.
a long way. Yeah. So from the beginning, was it actually a MDM tool or was it more
No,
like Windows management?
it was only Windows, and it
Okay.
was only you need to have an agent. There was no MDM stack in Windows even, right?
Mm,
Um, so no MDM stack, no Azure AD. Azure AD didn't exist
that's
basically.
wild.
Well,
It's
they kind of
crazy.
had BPOS, but the one before Exchange Online,
Uh,
BPOS, it was kind of yeah, Hotmail for companies.
it's before my career.
Yeah. So there was no real thing around it. It was like, yeah, you had an agent. There was no, it were workgroup computers basically that you managed with an agent you had to onboard.
Hmm.
Download, MSI, install, onboard.
So
So
you
that's
did
how it
have
started.
MSI. Yeah,
Yeah, it
at
was an
least.
MSI.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Intune come a long way, and many of the people that watching the stuff that I do here on the channel, they either have Config Manager or Intune. So having Config Manager and normally do managing by that, they have like the Swiss knife, right? It's this tooling with this big asset database. And now we look at Intune, which is just driving like high speed out of here. And so are there any, when we transition and we do stuff, co-management, hybrid, all this stuff, is there, yeah, should we do that? Or should we just go Intune only and let's go?
So it depends, right? But for most customers today that don't have really, really specific requirements that requires them to have either like fine-grained control of every bits and bytes or fine-grained reporting requirements or huge applications or that it's hard to deploy from the cloud or a network that doesn't can take the load from getting stuff from the internet. For all other customers that don't have like really specific demands, they can use only Intune.
Hmm.
And they can also use pure Azure AD joined machines.
And that I like to hear, because the other way, having hybrid, then you have your 80, and ah, that's
Yeah,
irritating.
well, for many circumstances, having a hybrid identity is good
Yeah,
still.
yeah,
But having that hybrid identity doesn't mean you need to have a hybrid client, which is, I don't know. The main blocker has been that people are not aware that they actually do have SSO, which my colleague has been messing about for a time now. You don't
hmm
really need that hybrid to get. You need the hybrid identity, but not the hybrid client. And you still get the Kerberos token and you still authenticate to everything you have on-prem. The other thing has been around, for instance, OS deployment, managing drivers and BIOS and have full control of that, which has been hard in cloud.
yeah, indeed,
And I think the only reason it's been so great in Config Manager is because of community tools.
indeed, indeed. And you know one, right? Your
Yes,
colleague.
yeah.
Yeah,
My
please.
colleague, together with another guy, who used to be my colleague,
Yeah.
they have made this awesome driver automation tool, right?
Mm.
And That's a good thing because yes, you do have integration with HP. So you can integrate with HP, you can integrate with Lenovo, you can integrate with Dell. But what if you have all of them?
Exactly.
And then it's going to be messy in your environment. And the other thing is using the config manager primary method of actually injecting all the drivers into the database is a very, very slow and rigid process,
Mhm.
which you don't need to, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we had a process back in Config Manager 2007 where we skipped that part, right? And we just built Config Manager packages, and then we ran that inside the task sequence, and we had a good process, and it was very fast. And then
Yeah.
we went to Config Manager 2012, and then we started to import the drivers into the database again, and it was a huge mess because you wanted them into the driver packages.
Yeah.
And then we got this tool from Maurice, and was it Nikolai?
Yes.
And then it was actually a very good solution, and it was very agile that you could just, with a couple of clicks, you were actually going, and that was very cool. So it's, I mean, you want to have this possibility to manage a lot of vendors because Autopilot is actually all about that. That you
Yep.
can just buy the device from OEM and then onboard it to your environment. But what about the maintenance on these devices? Can the ongoing driver management or BIOS management, do we have a tool inside Intune to actually handle that when we have Autopilot onboarding the device?
So if you talk to Microsoft, the tool for that is Windows Update.
Okay, okay. We've
Yeah.
tried that.
So, but actually, that is actually getting better. So Microsoft is working closely with the vendors, and they are more and more vendors are giving BIOS updates and driver updates specified to your machine through Windows Update. And I think there was some mentions around integrating that with Intune better, and mentioned at Ignite last time, which is still not out in public how it's going to look in detail. But I know the long term from Microsoft perspective is to get the OEMs to put the drivers into Windows Update, and then you can manage those drivers eventually at some time through Intune.
Hmm.
So I think they will get there, but it's still going to take some time. And
So
I don't remember who was there was a vendor recently that pushed out a driver or a BIOS update that caused a lot of machines not to boot anymore. I I'm not sure if it was in consumer space or it was in business space, but that's why people want to have control
yeah.
because they won't risk having that bad driver hitting their 10,000 devices on that specific model on the same day.
Mm.
They want to test the BIOS update before they release it. They want to test the new driver packages before they release it. And maybe they want to force update some drivers because now we are going to Windows 11. They need to go up to the next level and need to apply some BIOS changes or BIOS updates, BIOS settings. And then Intune don't really have any built-in tools to give you that control
Mm.
today.
So it's not as easy as I understood, because you can just go in and tell a feature update to apply to your device and then upgrade to Windows 11 and you're good to go, right?
Yes, you're good to
But
go.
but as you mentioned, what about the drivers? The drivers comes from the vendor, not from Microsoft. So it's a joint venture here.
Yeah.
But we don't have the real or the right tooling to do that at the moment. Of course, you could go into the update ring where you could say, I want drivers to this device, but is it really what we want? Maybe for Surface devices or other Microsoft devices, that's good enough. And it's actually good, but for HP, Lenovo, and Dell or some other vendors, is it really good enough?
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is that all the vendors are getting better. And they are getting more of the drivers and BIOS updates into Windows Update. We should give them the credit they deserve for that. They are really moving forward. They are trying to close the gap really hard because they are seeing what we are seeing, right? They are seeing the world moving to Intune. So they need to do something.
Yeah.
But sadly, all of them are looking at their own belly button, right? They don't see the world outside their own area. So they see Lenovo, think about Lenovo. Oh yeah, we could just install this Lenovo agent and then we will handle this for you and you can manage this Lenovo agent. But I don't want to have extra agents on my devices, for instance. So that's where I think HP has done something great, where they just give me a PowerShell module that I can manage everything with. I can, on a one-liner, I can fetch the latest BIOS update and flash it and reboot my machine.
Wow.
Right? While with others, it's more complex, but it's still possible to do this with PowerShell on most vendors, at least the three big ones.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's difficult. It's not just as is. And yes, of course, we shall update our biases because there are flaws and there are, possibility to be attacked that way as well.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that BIOS is only about stability. So it's like, if it works, don't fix it, kind of thinking around BIOS. But maybe 10 years ago, that was the case, where you flash your BIOS if you had an issue with your machine. If you didn't, you just kept the BIOS it came with when you bought it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But today there are so much vulnerability that comes all the way down up, and BIOS has a lot of security fixes as well, in addition to stability. And of course, there are BIOS updates that are focused on purely on security that might affect your performance badly for a period of time. So then you need to make those choices. But without that control, and if you only rely on Windows Update, you will always get the latest version the vendor decided they released to Windows Update for your model. And you'll get it. It's a on-off button. You can say, yeah, but I want the one that's 2 versions old, not the latest one. No, you either get the newest one or you get nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not Visos where you can actually do active approval, right?
No.
No. So, Jan, I am a reader of the msendpointmanager.com blog, and I saw that you and Maurice were working on something and you put it on that blog. So I want to see some magic on the BIOS platform. How can we actually do a controlled update of our BIOS in Intune?
So assuming you know about the driver automation tool, right? You know about the tool, you know how that works. You can install the tool simply. It will connect to your config manager database if you have config manager. And then you can go in and select your model. You can download files and publish them as packages in config manager. So what we've done now is that we have integrated the driver automation tool with Intune. So it's not really an Intune integration as of yet. What we're doing is basically we are making a XML file that contains the driver pack or BIOS driver packages. For now, it's only BIOS, but BIOS packages for certain models. And then we push that XML automatically to Azure Blob Storage.
Okay.
And we use that for a reference. And then down on the client, we're using Intune proactive remediations to check what is your local BIOS version, what is the latest version in the XML, so which is the one I have released to my clients, and then they will see, are you up to date or not? And if I'm not up to date, it will go and grab the correct BIOS version I specified from the vendor and download it and flash it on my client.
That's pretty cool. So just for my understanding and for the viewers, you have a tool, or Maurice and Nikolai's tool we are talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have been using that, that has a XML file that you specify to put up on a blob storage.
Yeah.
And so there's no automatically updating that XML. So you are in control. It is that particular XML file you put there and the versions you put there in that file that is going to communicate to your devices.
Yes.
So if you put, I want my BIOS to be 106, your BIOS is going to be 106.
That's correct.
That's very cool. That's intelligent thinking.
Yeah, and when you set the driver automation tool in Intune mode, it will talk to that XML storage in Azure at startup. It will load in the values from the XML and show you this is the latest one from the OEM. This is what you have in the XML, and then you can choose update to the newer version, and then it will update that XML for you. So you don't need to go and edit the XML manually or upload the XML manually. We have like an onboarding part, like you start it in onboarding mode, and then it will create that Azure Blob Storage and everything for you as well.
Whoa, that is service. So I don't have to create my own blob storage.
Well, you need to have an Azure subscription to put it in.
Okay.
But we will create, if you don't have, so what you do need to have is, I think you need to have if I remember correctly, you need to have a resource group created where you have permissions to create that storage account.
That
So
makes
when
sense.
you log on as you, we will give you a list of all your resource groups. You select the one to put it in, and then we will put that, the rest we will do for you.
Okay. That's a good service.
And in that tool, you will also get the URL you need to edit in the proactive remediation script settings to have the correct XML path for you.
Okay. Yeah. So you have the reference between the client and the blob storage.
Yes.
And it's top safe. There's no hacking in between in that line from the client to the blob.
It's only an XML file. It doesn't contain anything dangerous. Actually, the XML file is open for everybody. Anybody can read the XML file. I don't care.
That's
It
fine.
contains a list of models and some BIOS versions. Right?
I'm just from a SecOps perspective here. We are doing the check mark.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, but of course, if you have a policy in Azure saying you're not allowed to have anonymous access to any storage blobs, then you need to get an exception from that policy.
All right. Yeah.
So then you can't just, I had a customer where they had this policy or they had flagged the subscription wrong. So they had a policy that said no access from, actually it was all Azure storage needed to have private networks. So they will not allow internet access. The whole point is you can access it from anywhere, right?
Yes, that's the modern management. Come on.
Yeah. So that's why you need to make sure you can do that, which is a caveat you need to know about.
Yeah. So you need internet.
Yes. And you need Azure subscription to be able to host that XML.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a file of 1K or 2, and it's depending on your number of clients. I mean, if you have 500,000 clients, it might cost you some money. But if you are in the Scandinavian storage, you will not even notice it's there.
No. And the smart thing you do is that you point directly to the vendor site, so you don't have the actually binaries on that blob storage, because then it would
Of
be cost
course.
money, right?
So yeah, of course, we haven't done that. We were thinking in that line at some time, doing creating the packages. We don't know yet what we're going to do on the driver side. We are kind of waiting a little bit also what Microsoft is coming with on the new stuff they talked about at Ignite. But for now, we are focusing on the BIOS and the BIOS control, which is I think is the most important thing at the moment.
Yeah, agree on that. So that sounds really nice. I can't wait to actually see some of this stuff, Jan. Can you show us?
Yes, I can show you something. So what we can start with is, it's kind of, one thing is to be able to control your BIOS. And I talked to a customer about this actually and say, hey, do you want to control your BIOS updates? And they were like telling me, no, we think we have control of this, right? We think that our BIOS versions are managed by Windows Update. And then I said, so let me create a run this script, inventory script, which is a different solution we have created, custom inventory. Let's run this inventory script on a subset of your clients. And let's have a look at how up to date your BIOSes are compared to the latest version from the vendor. And Matthias is going to blur the customer away from this, but this was the kind of the status.
All right.
Right? Out of 600 machines, a subset of their devices, 7 was up to date with the vendor.
That's not a big
1%.
percentage. Yeah.
It's almost exactly 1%.
Wow.
So that they have a set of 34 HP models, and they have 7 out of 600 machines that are in the correct state.
So
they don't have, they are using the vendor tool, but I don't think they have used it correctly, because if they were using that correctly, they could have done this better. But they are now looking into a new tool from HP, which is HP specific. And actually, before I go any further, I want to show you quickly. We have this HP Connect from MEM, which is focused on BIOS management. This is integrated with your Azure and Intune tenant. So in this tool, you can go in here and you can you have some policies, and then you can see you get some other stuff they try to sell you. But the most important thing, I can go in here and create a policy. So let me say I'm going to update my Dragonfly. And I go BIOS updates, and then I go and I can say establish a rule for a specific model. And I think I can actually search here as well. And then I can say I want to deploy this version. So that's, since they released this, that this is the latest version. If I select another model, we can see we have the option. This one is not in there. This is still a bit early. You see here, I can select between many different versions. So if I select this, yeah, it doesn't really matter what I select. Select this and have a version, click on save, and then I click on publish. The funny thing though, what they do when I do that, they actually create a proactive remediation in Intune. So, but they only have one. So what happens when you add new models and new requirements and new versions, they are dynamically creating a new script.
All right.
To check for the different models. So they are actually using here in the detection scripts. I don't, if you can see, let me see if I can find the version. It's not so easy to read scripts in this view. Actually here, let me just, I don't have Sumit. Of course I don't, not now. But you can see here, they create an update table and they are checking, you want to have this and this version on this. So HP are kind of doing this some in the same style that we do, but they generate a script for each time and add all this data into the script, while we use a XML file and the script don't have to be touched.
That's cool.
So our script is in here as well. BIOS update control. It's currently not deployed in CloudWay. But this is also a script that has a detection script and a remediation script and it uses this XML storage. And here you can see we have the BIOS packages XML. So if you look at that, let me just open a new tab and go to this one. And no, that was the wrong place. That, of course. And in here we can see the good old, this is actually an old file, not the latest version. But this is how we do this in the cloud. And this comes directly from the driver automation tool to actually give you, for this model, I want this version. So yeah, and it also, the good thing is that in here, in proactive remediations, is that we can see, of course, right? Yeah. We can see in here, did this go okay? If I had deployed this, which I haven't right now. So, but we also want to know, right? So we have this, this was the one that was with the customer, and this is the other one, which is using the XML data as well. So here we can see which version I have deployed in the XML, and this is the latest version from the OEM. So we can have that model per model. We can see that information. And if you go down, we can here see also here different machines. We can see that this one is compliant. It's compliant with the OEM, but the XML is not updated. So this one has actually done a manual update above the XML.
Oh, that makes sense.
So the XML has version 113. He has either updated from Windows Update, the OEM has pushed it because we haven't disabled it, or he has manually flashed his BIOS, right?
Yeah.
So the XML is not up to date. I can see that here.
Yeah, that's good info.
So in this case, this is just the data for the last 14 days. So my laptop has not actually been on, so that's why I can't see it in here. But these kind of details you can get for all of these, and it's not that complicated, right? As you can see, if you look at the blog post itself, where is that blog post again? That's the update compliance reporting, but this one, and this is how it looks in the tool, right?
Yeah.
And you set it in Intune. This is the onboarding I talked about, right? So you log on, and it just gives you that resource group you have access to, and then it gives you this. And it actually gives you only the locations. It checks if the location supports storage accounts, because not all Azure locations do still. So that's cool. And here is the other view where we have the models, and then you will have the storage URL here that you need to update your script with. We were also thinking about manually creating that script or automatically create that script for you based on the values you get from this, but we haven't gotten to that yet. It's easy to change one variable in a script before you publish it. That's what we are thinking.
Yeah, it definitely is. If you can do this, you can change that.
And of course, it also have end user experience, right? We're using post notifications.
Yeah.
And this is this one I stole some magic from Ben, and then I modified it to be the magic of Jan. So Ben gave me the idea of using tasks, scheduled tasks, run now, to push the notification, because of course this is running in system context. So you can't push a notification to the end user as system context. So but what I did now is that in the script, I create a script block that runs in the task to so I don't even need to have a local file like he originally used. So he created a task that run a local file, while I just run a task with a encrypted script block instead.
All right.
So it's like just a one-liner.
Mm.
And yeah, you don't see that here really. But this is how it looks, right? I can't really show you this. This machine is not according to standards, so this machine doesn't have the capability of. It's not one of the big OEMs. Let's say it like that.
No, but exactly on BIOS updates, it's one-off, right? And then you have to roll back the BIOS to actually show it again. So
Yeah,
it's fine with a little demo here. Yeah.
yeah, and actually the let me see if I can quickly show you, because it's really, I personally at least think it's really cool. The let me see if I can find that. Where did we put this stuff? I don't remember now where I put this stuff. One of the other requirements, by the way, on HP is you also need to have the HP CMSL module up to date.
Okay.
So we have a different proactive remediation for that as well, which is basically in it's one of my previous blog posts.
And is that a tool that you put on the?
That's this is the one.
Okay.
So this is the proactive remediation to actually keep HP CMSL up to date at all times. It will always keep get the latest version from HP once a week or something.
So it's like the Intune management extension.
No, this is for this is the HP module that we use so that we can actually do use the HP PowerShell modules to flash the BIOS and stuff.
Yeah. The reference I made was just that you made it automatically, like when you have the IME on the device. So when Microsoft pushes a new one, it gets it automatically and install it. So you made a similar solution here, but just for HP. That's
With
nice.
proactive remediations. So
yeah.
Let me see if I can.
And we will put the links, of course, to all these blog posts, so the viewers here can follow the guides and what needs to be done and set up in order to have this nice setup, right, Jan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of because what I'm doing here for the toast is I actually make a script block. I create a string here, right? And this string is then being converted into an encoded script. So in the task scheduler, you will see I actually just do this. So I don't need a local file. I don't write to many people use task, but they use a local file instead. And then that local file is being triggered by the task.
Yeah.
Doing like this, they can't modify the file.
Which is a good idea, by the way.
Either that task runs, well, it runs immediately anyway, but then you need to clean up the files and yeah. So I wanted to not have a file. I wanted to do everything, just do it, and when it's run, it's gone.
The clean way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I can show, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, these workbooks and for the update compliance, they're all in here. The XML, there's a blog post on all of this. So yeah.
And of course, yeah. So thank you, Jan. That was very nice to actually see it live. And this was built upon log analytics, right? And is there
so the reporting part is log analytics, right?
Yeah.
And we use log analytics to report, and we use and actually in the workbooks we are also querying the XML directly from log analytics, because you can have external data sources in your workbooks.
Okay.
So we're actually querying the XML and parsing the XML in the log analytics dashboard as well. So that's how we can see what is the XML version we have deployed.
So it's very dynamic.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
But it's built on, I would say it's built on proactive remediations.
Yeah. So something needs to happen on the client, and then you have some data, and together with blob storage and log analytics, you have a good solution.
Yeah. And I need to say though, if you don't have Enterprise Edition and you can't use proactive remediations,
Then
what
you're
you can
screwed.
do is to take the scripts and make your own package, install those scripts as recurring scheduled tasks that runs once a week or once a day. The rest is outside of Intune anyway.
And those packages you talk about, is that Win32 or which kind of packages is
That would be a Win32 package I would deploy typically.
Yeah.
We just add, or you can just run a PowerShell script, right?
Yeah, but that runs only once, right?
Yeah, but you can run the PowerShell script to add scheduled tasks.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But then we have to get creative, right? And I like the dynamic solution you built here. And if you don't have the license, go and grab the license.
Yeah, you can do that, of course, too. So yeah. No, I think this having control of understanding people understanding Azure AD join is golden. It's like one of the old identity PMs that quit now said every time somebody do a hybrid AD join, an angel dies.
Yeah.
That's a bit harsh, but it's kind of, or no, no, angel loses his wings. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, you don't really need to do that anymore. It's so few circumstances, which is why I don't understand why Windows 365 started with a hybrid Azure AD join as the solution. But yeah, just pew.
Yeah.
But
There's many fingers to point, but it's a huge company and many people that decide stuff, right? So.
But I think though, I have customers with more than 100,000 clients that are now in the process of moving all clients to Intune. So it's not about size.
No.
It's about process and understanding. That's the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be about size.
Yeah.
I remember Intune had a maximum of, what was this? They used to have a maximum of 5,000 clients.
5,000 clients, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the
Otherwise, you had to
Silverlight.
build it together with the config manager, right?
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever been there? Yes, we have actually. So it's great to see that the MDM is like actually moving out of config manager again. They are deprecating slowly stuff in the MDM space in config manager. So yeah, things are going into Intune and standalone. And I as well, I'm on a big account that we are currently transitioning to Intune. So it can happen if you do it right and if you plan stuff. So the lesson here was we don't have bias control in Intune, but Jan just showed us how we can do this. And that's the story. If you don't have it, you can build it. This is Lego, right, Jan?
Yeah, it's Lego.
It's Lego.
I mean,
and you like Lego.
So when proactive remediation came and gave us the possibility of scheduled scripts that give input back to the console on the runs and what happens, that opened up so many opportunities. I know people have been pushing out scheduled tasks before, but that's not manageable. I need to test this script. I push it out to 100 clients. And then, oh no, okay, I need to repackage. I need to do ABC. And when proactive remediation came, I could actually go into the console, open up the script, and edit it directly. But they had to remove that feature. You know why?
No.
because back then you couldn't upload in the preview phase. You couldn't upload files. You could only paste at first. So if you had any script that was signed and you required signing, it broke the signing, of course. Or if you had uploaded a signed script and you clicked edit and moved the cursor in there and made a space, the signing was broken. So they removed that totally and then say upload only, which I salute. That was a smart move.
Yeah, that was a smart move.
The only thing I'm missing is GitHub integration.
Yeah,
that would be so awesome. Proactive remediation with GitHub source control.
Yeah.
That would be make my day.
Let's put that on the list of stuff we want.
Oh, I have told them.
Oh, you have told them. Of course you have.
Yeah.
Of course you have. User voices it is, and directly
It's
to the
not
PMs.
user voice anymore. You know, there's something else. I don't even remember the name.
No. They
Twitter.
teared it down.
I use Twitter. And I
Yeah.
say, hey, Avi, can you fix this?
Yes, exactly. But you know, you need to know the correct PMs for the area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jan, thank you so much for your time. It's getting late in Norway and in Denmark as well, and
Yes.
we have a lot of kids to look out for, and we have to get our sleep, otherwise we get even more gray hair.
Yeah.
It has been a absolutely pleasure to have you on the show, and I really look forward for the Nordic virtual event in March, right? And right now there's a call for speakers, so all you guys and girls who
And
is
you.
and me,
you.
I might sign up for something. Go in there and drop your topic, and let's go and make this community even more awesome. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.